Hey everyone, I'm back to continue my discussion involving the visionary state experiences. And in my last video, I was talking about the kind of the depressing aspect of it. And so what makes it really depressing more than anything is the aspect of being ignored, which I want to talk about this time. Now, as I'm sharing my problems, I realize I should be sharing the solutions, because I know a lot of people are just like, you need help, blah, 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 that kind of thing. Well, I'm definitely looking for help, but I'm looking for the right help. So the reason for these videos is because of the way that I'm being ignored, okay? So I've mentioned kind of how, if you've been paying attention to my stories, I've been kind of encouraged really, really strongly for a very long time in so many different ways. You know, it's a really long, detailed story. It's taken me super long to explain it because it took a lot of things to make me go to Bill Lieb. And since I've come in contact with him and his wife, a number of things unfortunately have unfolded in a bad way. And all I wanted to do was just to be able to communicate. Like, I've contacted them. It almost seemed like everything's okay now, but I still feel like I haven't communicated. It's still really frustrating. So I don't feel like, you know, they're my enemy or anything right now. But when I'm talking about something that happened like more than 20 years ago, I'm also sharing that kind of grief and experience that it took me through, because at that point in my life, I was feeling pretty hopeless, right? So I think that's the part I forgot to mention is, you know, before I met them, I was in pretty bad shape as it was, right? So, you know, so as I mentioned, I felt like I walked into a situation where they're already having issues and I simply got caught in a crossfire. But because of my pre-existing condition, because I was feeling pretty rough and my mental health wasn't that great, and I have a bad temper, I've gone and made it worse. So yeah, I absolutely have to admit I have gone and made it worse. And some people are kind of trying to tell me, you know, by making these videos, I'm also making it worse. But you know, that's not what I want it to do. I really just, it's because like, I keep coming up against all these different obstacles. So I feel like, you know, I'm just like bumping into obstacles, you know, and it's like, okay, how do I get around some of these obstacles? So I feel like, the best way to explain how I feel, it's like being trapped, you know, like, you can imagine if you were trapped in some place and you knew there were some people nearby, you'd be, you know, yelling for them to come and get you. So I think a good illustration would be, working in a restaurant and walking into one of those big walk-in freezers and the door falls shut and you can't get it open, but you hear the voices outside. And so you're like, hey guys, help me, you know, and like nobody helps you. So you bang on the door really loud and then nobody helps you. So you know, like, you know, there's people there and, you know, they just don't hear you. So you just try to bang even louder and still doesn't work, right? So, I mean, you're going to be in there, you know, making a pretty big deal about it. And I feel like that's kind of what's happening to me, because, you know, I kind of get a lot of feedback, like, you know, you're just having a fit because you got rejected and this type of thing. And I really don't think it's that simple, you know. I feel like there's a whole lot more to my story than, you know, I wanted to meet somebody and they rejected me. That's just the very tip of the iceberg. And it is an important, you know, point in my timeline here. So what I'm experiencing is something I call shut up talk. It's like, shut up. So imagine you're in there banging on that wall and your hand hurts. You're banging on the door to get out of that freezer before you die or whatever. You know, it's like, please let me out of here. I know you're out there. But then somebody said, shut up. You know, and they tell you, you're just making drama, blah, 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 blah. So you get the shut up talk. So all the different stuff people do to tell me to shut up, you know, is you're just doing this and you're just doing that. The comments always start with, you're just da-da-da. And one of the things I have people tell me, oh, well, you sound like a broken record, you know, saying I'm not doing anything about it. I'm just being a broken record. And, well, that's not true, actually. If I sound anything like a record, I sound like one that every time you play it, it comes out more polished and clear sounding, because, you know, I have to keep going over the story again and again. And each time I go around through the loop, I think it gets clearer and crisper, and that's the whole point. And that it's been super hard for me to communicate because on one hand, I'm dealing with narcissistic manipulation. On the other hand, I have a very difficult time talking. Now, you see me on here talking and talking, but you notice how hard it is for me to talk. It's been really hard for me to talk. And when I look back at my videos and I see myself just going, that's me having a hard time talking and not finding the right words. Okay? People keep telling me I sound like a broken record. Well, you know, you listen to the same song over and over, don't you? Doesn't it sound, it doesn't sound like a broken record at all. You like that record and you play it again. And like if you sing in a band, say you're Bill Lieb, and you're up there, every time you do a show, you end up singing, "We slip into a final dream." Nobody tells Billy sounds like a broken record, you know? So it's like, the reason it sounds the same every time you hear it is because it's consistent. Okay, and that's why, you know, every time I go around on my story, it should be consistent. See, I'm not keeping a diary. I make these notes and I throw them in the trash. The only thing that's really been kept in writing is all the notes I've sent to Bill Lieb, and his girlfriend was really happy, by the way, to share that with the public and make me the laughing stock. So in a roundabout way, I want to talk about what's the reason for these videos. Been being ignored, trying to find my way around these obstacles. Now, there's only a few key people who I really hope understand what I'm talking about, okay? But because it's like, I can't get through to some of them, or at least I don't think I'm getting through to them, I'm kind of putting out this video, you know? And I hate doing this, you know, I would much rather have kept this private. So, and as far as finding help, you know, it's like, okay, making these videos, and I'm gonna use this as an example because we have so many dirty-minded people that, you know, think sex is so important who could be paying attention here. That's like sperm, okay? You know how many sperm has to be shot out just for one little sperm to find the egg, you know? So if you know anything about the reproduction process, I feel like I'm doing something similar. So I'll get into that a little bit. Why, you know, like how I'm trying to find help, for example. I'm trying to find the right help, okay? I'm trying to find the right help, even if it's not Bill Lieb. You know, it could be a little bit like, sailing. You know, when you're sailing, you pick a point on the horizon and you go towards it until you pick a new point. So, so there's a lot of that, I'm trying to sort out. So it's very difficult to sort out. And I know, you know, people want to recommend getting to therapy and all that stuff. And I realize, I could use help and I could use therapy again. So, okay, here's an example of how, people aren't helping. So kind of what I'm complaining about is I feel like I'm being ignored. And then people tell me stuff like, you know, I'm not participating in this conversation, and you have an unhealthy fixation with Bill Lieb, and well, that just means you don't understand what I'm talking about. Okay, maybe there are some issues like, okay, I don't like the rejection, and I do feel that I'm kind of attached to him and all that stuff, so that's true to a point, but it's really not the whole issue. It's like, you know, that's where like, I realize this is where our communication is limited. So again, this video isn't for everybody. These videos aren't for everybody. Maybe, you know, I need to start keeping my conversation, you know, only between me and people who I think understand me. So as soon as people start telling me this stuff, boom, then I should just acknowledge that they're not somebody who I can talk to. Now, the same person's also telling me, you need to see a doctor. I really don't think there's a doctor out there that can help me with this particular issue. It's one of these issues where, like, either I need to communicate with Bill Lieb or it's going to drive me crazy for the rest of my life. Now, what I would like to find is a channeler, somebody that's an experienced channeler and they know what they're talking about. Because, you know, I could be just a channeler in under development and I'm running into a lot of issues as far as my visionary state stuff goes. So, some people, So, okay, now as I share out these videos, again, it's not for everybody. There's certain people out here that are going to appreciate it. Again, like that sperm going out to the vagina. maybe this video is going to connect with certain people who appreciate it. And if I can't get Bill Lieb to understand me, then maybe I'll find somebody else who does understand me that I need in my life, right? So now, the reason I can't expect everybody to understand me is you need to have the right education and experience. And so not everybody has that the same experience as I do, because it's like, imagine being blind. If you don't know what it's like to be blind, then for example, you can't really give that person a whole lot of help on how they should run their life. And so I'm kind of in the opposite. It's like I'm seeing more than a normal person can see, you know. So some people don't have the education or the comprehension skills, like, or the ability to comprehend, or the what I call the intellectual capacity. So like, you can run something by somebody that makes perfect sense and they're not going to understand it because of their education and capacity. Not that that's a bad thing. It's just, you know, that's where they're at. That's their karma, you know. So like, you don't go into a 4th grade math class during their math lesson, say, hey, anyone care to learn trigonometry? You got to go through the levels for one thing. And even then, not every high school student makes it to trigonometry or calculus. Now, I expect Bill Lieb and certain other people to get this. Like if Genesis Peorage was still alive, or if Richard Kirk was still alive, or if we could talk to Kevin Key or Chris and Cozy, people like that should understand what I'm talking about if they could listen to me. Now again, I have a hard time talking, but you know, if you could, like, if your English and your language skills are really good, you should be able to work through my inability to speak clearly at times, okay? I expect Bill Lieb to be able to understand me, and that's why I've been willing to share so much with him, because I respect his intellectual capacity and his ability to understand, as well as the possibility that he is a little clairvoyant and psychically gifted and all these different ways that, you know, I know that if he doesn't understand me yet, he should eventually, but he's also around people who are in that list here where you're just like, some people don't have the comprehension, the ability to comprehend, right? And so I kind of think, you know, with all due respect, his wife, Carol Ann, is one of those people. This girl, Teresa, that's trying to help them, she's one of those people. So I feel like it's futile trying to explain to those guys what's been going on with me. And to me, all of their advice is worthless, because it's all shut up talk. Because to them, it would be so much more convenient if I would just shut up and let it go, because they're tired of hearing about it and they don't want to understand it. And again, they don't have to understand it. I think the number one person who I really hope understands me would be Bill Lieb. And then, like, there are a few other people in my life who could understand it. That'd be a bonus. My father, I'd like it if he could understand this too. Okay, the bottom line though, guys, is I've been going into visionary state throughout the years, and that's a huge revelation, even though it's always been part of human history. Even though it's known, but it's not conventional knowledge. You're not gonna, so when you take science in the public school, they give you kind of what's known as conventional science. And that's only it's kind of fundamental, and it's like only a portion of all the science there is in the world. And so what we have on planet Earth that constitutes as science or scientific knowledge is only limited to what mankind has been able to achieve within their lifetime. Okay, now all the science in the universe versus all the science on Earth, okay, so we don't have all the answers, okay? That's one of my precepts. Truth is truth. No matter where you find it, no one has all the answers, and we can't always be right. No one should take authority over truth. Now, when you're buying into authority, that's the person saying you need to go to a doctor. So you want me to pay a person in a position of authority to convince me I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, or to just shut the fuck up. And so that's why I don't appreciate people's advice who want me to pay a federally certified counselor to deal with something that I wouldn't want to take to the feds in the beginning to begin with. I'm not interested in talking to a fed about my personal life, especially anything that's extraordinary. Okay? Now, Bill Lieb has to do with my own personal life, my own personal issues. So if you go into my stories, he kind of serves as a distraction from the fact that I've experienced something that is an important discovery. This is an important discovery and brings so much confirmation for so many things. But because of the narrative, Bill Lieb kind of acts like a distraction. And so when I talk about this, instead of letting it be about parallel dimensional time travel and all that juicy stuff, it's about Jody, you're obsessed with a rock star. And so what has come as a result of me trying to reach out to Bill and say, hey, you know, I think I remember you from somewhere. So if you've been watching my videos, oh man, the early part of my story, I got quite an itch in my eye here. You know, I'm not I know, like, that's not good in front of a camera, but I'm not a professional. I'm just, you know, it's like sitting over here talking to a friend. I'm gonna sit here and scratch my eye and well, I'm not gonna pick my nose, but you know, you see me. I just want to make light of things, okay? Because, you know, I talk about some heavy stuff, so I love to stop and make light of things. You know, I try to have fun. I try to laugh at myself, okay? So try not to take myself too seriously, but there are some things I do take seriously. Now, we are responsible for what we know. That's something I do take seriously. As an artist, I take that seriously. That's why I used to say, or that's why I do say Bernard Sumner was one of my favorite singers. I just loved how he just doesn't take himself too seriously, but you know, they do a great job on their music. They take that very seriously. So, you know, I'm just a clown. I'm just a comedian, you know? So I could be, what you call, Hayoka. So I'm not, officially given that title, but I feel that I definitely have what you call Hayoka nature. And if you know what that means, you're a sacred clown. So I am somebody who is, kind of spiritually gifted, and I'm on earth to do spiritual work, but I kind of do things in a backwards way, which is very much like industrial music itself. It's very backwards. It doesn't seem like, you know, this is what you want your kids to listen to, but that's what I was brought up on, and I get a lot of strong values from industrial music culture that I apply to this day, that it's not just noise, right? There's a lot of thought and intellect that comes along with this music and music culture and the whole, you know, community in itself. So, yeah, so here I am being set up with Bill Lieb, right? So it was a setup. It was how the situation was illuminated, okay, by using him. And, well, he's a good person in my personal path for a lot of reasons, right? You know, when you look at everything I'm talking about, I'm trying to get into industrial music. I was thinking about, you know, I moved to Denver. I was going to start a band and do music, you know. And so, you know, I had to come face to face with, you know, what's really going on here in our music scene. So that's where I really want to clean house a little bit and say, you know what, I really don't like this, you know. So either that or create another community that's free of all those issues. So what's happened in the industrial music culture or community or whatever we want to call that, and the overall cultural revolution is, it starts out with this free spirit, all this creativity and originality and all this kind of anarchy type of thinking. And then, but as it goes on, stuff starts to solidify and become orthodox. Now you have a tradition. Now it's no longer free thinking. Now it's like there's a certain way we do things here, or you know where the door is. So like I was told by a girl that goes to the goth club, either people need to start dressing a certain way or they need to get out of here, because I was telling her people would harass me at the goth club for not dressing like a goth. I just come in wearing like my skinny puppy t-shirt and my I don't know, at least I would wear like maybe some cargo pants and some boots. I was trying to be industrial maybe, but I don't wear makeup and all that. You know, I'm not a goth. I'm more of an industrial person, and I don't know, like, a lot of people that are into industrial music don't really dress a certain way. A lot of people that are into industrial music and techno music as well are kind of clean cut and don't really wear flamboyant clothing and stuff like that, you know. So that's all just bullshit, and that's where our culture is losing sight of the original purpose. So, meeting Bill Lieb illuminated a lot of those things. So, like, if anybody has a problem with me, so that's kind of the part of the deal. When you're a person who illuminates the room, you're the problem, because now everyone sees the shit they didn't like, It's like, well, if it wasn't for Jody and her goddamn light switch. So I feel like that's really why they want to shut me up. There's stuff people don't want to hear. And so if we're talking about what happened to industrial music, well, it went to the goth scene to die. And the reason for that is because it's becoming an orthodox. And people have rules. And if you like Bill Lieb doesn't want to get caught agreeing with that. If he said, you know what, Jody's right, man. He's going to lose a lot of business. So people like him and Kevin T will be like, yay, happy goth day. So nothing against the goth scene, like, as long as you're an authentic person and you like the goth scene, I don't care. That's where I go, because it has melded together with the industrial music scene, because it's like the only place I get to hear stuff like Skinny Puppy on a loud system like that. So, like, they play a bunch of stuff that I'm like, it's all right. And then, like, on comes, like, ooh, a Frontline Assembly song. And then, oh, yeah, and then a Hoe Job comes on, So that's why I go to the goth scene, because at least it gives people that are a freak a place to go. So it should be a refuge for people like me, not a place where people are going to bully me for being different or, not trying to fit in. That goes against everything it was meant to be, right? So that's where, meeting Bill Lee was a setup to make me come face to face with the potential of becoming part of this music scene. And along with that, meeting Bill Lieb in 98 particularly, and like the little narrative I have there, I was set up by Bill Lieb. I don't know if it was inadvertent, if it was by accident, but okay, so just to recap what happened there, I'd written to Bill Lieb and I'd mentioned that I think I remember him from when I was growing up, but it was probably just a vision. And I think I could have some gifts and stuff. And then I was thinking I'd really like to consider joining Frontline Assembly. And if not, I would really like to, get his coaching. And I'd like him to be my my music professor maybe, or my music producer one day. And, I went to meet them. And his wife came up and introduced herself to me. And she wanted my contact information. And I had a funny feeling, Carol Ann Lopke kind of rings a bell, I just think, she's probably traveling with the band. I'm not sure what her role was there. Like, I thought she could be the band manager, so I was thinking, maybe they got my letter and they're thinking about, having a talk with me tonight and at that moment. And so then what she did, okay, and this is like a major trait of narcissism. Now, I'm willing to forgive all this stuff, of course, but just, to call it what it is. This is like some of the stuff narcissists do. Like, so first of all, you got Bill Lieb, doesn't want people to know he's married, because they think that's going to sell more records. And then you got his wife. She was nice to me in my face, but then she stabbed me in the back. She, what you call, ran a smear campaign against me. She, what you call, recruited her flying monkey. So these are the people, like the woman, Donna from Network Records and Network Records representatives, who, by the way, knows absolutely nothing about industrial music, or at least not at the time, goes up to Bill Lieb and she says to him, like, it's like she's trying to say it to him, but she let me hear it, whatever you do, don't let that psycho bitch take you home. And then as we were leaving, I had tried to invite Bill and Carol Ann to my house because I just felt like everybody was trying to stop us from talking, like my ex-boyfriend, I don't know, maybe he was just trying to get in the conversation, but everybody wanted to talk to Bill Lieb at the same time, which is understandable because he's popular, okay? But then you had that person going, like, don't talk to Jody, So I felt like there were a few people in there that are trying to make him not want to talk to me. And so I just thought I would take him and his wife. I didn't know they were married, but I just had a feeling that she was looking out for him, that she was trying to, kind of protect him and stuff and help him kind of manage the fans coming up to him. So that's why I invited her. And I wanted it to be a safe experience for them. And that's what people are overlooking right there. So as we were leaving, Bill came over to Carol Ann, and I thought he was talking to the both of us. I thought me and her were going to be friends from now on because she wanted to stay in touch and all that stuff. And I had already invited them. So I thought he was inviting the two of us together to come down to their hotel room. And so it's kind of like he was looking at her, but So I'm not sure if he was really looking at both of us. I'm just trying to be honest and clear with myself. Like, you know, did he accidentally invite me or did he intend to invite me? It's kind of unclear. But he allowed me to know where they were going. And that's where I feel like this is where I'm being tested. You know, this is where I feel like I'm being set up. So if it was inadvertent, so be it. But if it was intentional, that's where we know Bill's a little wiener. Okay, so making me think I'm invited. I mean, I actually went back home and I grabbed like a really big bag of pot and all my rolling papers and everything. And I was so excited. I'm going to their party and I'm going to be, you know, popular when I start rolling joints, you know. And then I felt like I was kind of being threatened with the police there. So, you know, as you might imagine, I was really scared to have the cops called on me with all that pot in my pocket, right? Anyways, it blew up into another scenario where, like, I went to their show the very next year, and then I had this van load of people. They acted like they were, you know, following me up the street, and I kind of knew I shouldn't be afraid of them. I felt like they were harassed, like that. I'm not gonna say harass me, but definitely picking on me as punishment for what I did the year before, because I was made out to look like I was down at that hotel because I'm a stalker. Like, they didn't realize that the reason I knew where to go was because Bill Lee told me where to go. Okay, I didn't, you know, try to sneak down there by like following the band members. I thought Bill Lee was telling me to go down there because he wanted to visit with me. Okay, and so that all turned into Jody's a stalker. Now, now the next year with that van following me, and they're going, there she is, you know. I felt like they were paying me back, you know. And then I let them know I'm not scared of them. That's why I led them up the alley and all that stuff. And then I was going to go just open a door to say. So, I mean, I'm like, dude, I'm so not afraid of you guys. And then they spat off like they were afraid of me. I had a whole van load of guys that were afraid of me. And then I went home for a little bit, and I was thinking, I wonder if I should go down there. You know, I'm like, you know, I really need to go down there. And so I grabbed a cartoon that I made called Fartline of Flemley, which is Bill Lieb and Reese Volber drawn up as Ren and Stimpy, right? I just really wanted to, you know, make friends, have a laugh. But then when I got down there were all these people talking shit. And so, like, again, I don't want to explain every last detail, but, like, I ended up really pissed off. I ended up playing Silence Delirium on the jukebox, and then Bill Lieb ended up hiding in the bathroom till they could get me to leave. So that's like, oh my goodness, you gotta imagine all this stuff just makes me want to, you know, die, right? So, to put it lightly. And so that's where, like, the visions were kind of building up. So it might have been just the thing to save my life, you know. Like, I needed these visions to happen to, like, get me kind of excited about something and help raise my spirit. And so as I started to believe that, oh, I see what's going on, Bill Lieb is secretly in love with me and it's just a matter of time. And or like maybe he didn't know what was going on yet. Like Rosie said, he doesn't know what's going on yet. And at some point it's going to bingo, and he's going to be like, ah, the light's going to come on, and Billy's going to be like, that's right, it's Jody. That's my my future wife, and all that stuff that he was seeing in his visions, you know. So if he was having visions, he's going to realize it, you know. So this is the narrative I'm being given, as delusional as it might sound. It's simply, you know, where I'm getting at is the bottom line is I'm going in the visionary state and something's communicating to me. And when I'm in visionary state, everybody there are just actors, you know. And so I was told that Billy is a little boy played by an actor meant to keep a little girl from ending her life. And so when I look at the narrative here, like, okay, so in 98, I was just like depressed, and then like 99, those people doing that, Bill doing that, like that, like, you know, I'm already depressed, but it just like made me deeper. It's like those guys doing that, you know. So it's very mentally abusive how they treated me, okay? Even if it was inadvertent and they didn't know what they were doing, but like to me, you know, it was such a depressing experience, you know. I mean, stuff like that can end somebody's life. Seriously, you gotta understand, you know, that that's where I think, well, maybe I'm stronger than a normal person, right? But having all these visions and like the time travel thing and all that stuff, just really like, oh yeah, you know, there's something special going on in my life, and I really want to live to see the rest. Yeah. So that's where, like, okay, when I didn't connect with Bill Lieb, I was still a little bit excited about the visions and stuff, right? So anyways, let's see here. So I was talking about kind of how maybe Bill Lieb is put before me kind of like as a point on the horizon. So like, let's say we were sailing, you know, you need to form a new point on the horizon. So I like to think, okay, if I'm not meant to connect with Bill, so my solution is how come I'm not connecting with Bill? He's meant to bring me in so far. He was meant to bring me into that situation and this situation and that situation. But then at some point, you know, we're going to see a new point on the horizon. It's going to be a different person, a different opportunity, perhaps. But again, Bill doesn't communicate. So anyways, the other thing I'm looking at is how the visions serve me. How do they serve me? As they help me what you call separate the wheat from the shaft. Now, what I've gotten out of this is to be able to see what other people can understand and to see how other people will react. So it triggers some people and they get really mad and they start yelling at me, ah, you need to get over this rock star. You sound like a groupie. So those people are like, they're like at the bottom most of the people who have attempted to understand me. And so there's also the saying, you should never cast your pearls before swine. Well, that's the chance I'm taking by making these videos and throwing them all out into the universe and stuff like that. And so that's what I've experienced as well. Okay, so there's a lot of people who really I should not have shared my stuff with, but at the same time I'm just like, whatever, you know, it's like, that's what I have to do to separate the wheat from the chaff. So this way, you know, I can tell who I should trust and who I shouldn't trust. Now, let's say it was in the heat of the moment, right? Like we're in a life and death situation, you know, like, and my intuition's starting to kick in, click, 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 starting to get communication from the other side. And I got this person with me that's like, nuh-uh, nuh-uh. They're gonna get us killed, man. I don't got time for that shit. I can only afford to surround myself with people who are willing to understand me, or at least, like, okay, I want people who do understand me, not just willing, like you do understand me, and that when I start getting intuition, I can communicate with you. That's what I loved about Rosie, and that's why, you know, I'm still kind of grieving over the loss. She was the only person that really listened to me, and to listen to understand, and not only that, but be able to understand. So now Bill Lieb has acted as if he's willing to listen to me. He's like, you know, because I told him, listen, man, I can understand if you don't fall in love with me and marry me. Obviously, I'm not the best marriage material, right? And not only that, but the lady is what seems like, you know, she's really got her shit together, and, you know, she's a good, reliable wife, you know. So, got to give her credit, because I think that I would be kind of useless in comparison, depending on what you hope to get out of me. Like, you know, like if, you know, like if you notice I can write a funky ass bass line or something, like you want me to come and help write some music, or I don't know if you just want those hugs and kisses, or just you just love my sense of humor, or you just love to hear me sing, you know. I'm not good marriage material, and I totally get that. So like, no worries there. But like, if anything, I just thought it would be nice if I could communicate to Bill and get him to understand me. And it's just like, hey, you know, feel free to call anytime, and feel free to write anytime. So I've taken him up on that, and I have. So anything, you know, you know, I really hate, you know, contrary to popular belief, I really hate texting, but I do it because I feel like I have so much to say, you know. So Bill Lieb has pushed me to write, you know. It's like that vision I had in '98 where Rosie said, you really need to learn to write, you have a lot to share. And so he's kind of like something that's kind of like, dragging it out of me. Just, you're going to write and you're going to like it. So Bill Lieb is making me a writer. I also like to think Bill Lieb was put before me, you know, not just to make me a writer and make me learn to use my words, because I've been really lazy and neglectful of my language skills. So, and you know, we all laugh about Bill, like he's got pretty good language skills, but he still spells things wrong, right? At any rate, the other thing I like to think is that you know, Bill Lieb in the vision was put before me to make me a better fighter. Like if we go back to those early visions, he made me fight, and then in reality I got in a fight with another little boy that was bullying me, and I think I won that fight. But they got me back for that later. But yeah, like as far as like the pearls before swine and separating the wheat from the shaft, the key words are like, you need to see a doctor, you're obsessing over a rock star. Like, again, there's some truth to that, but it's like, if they think that's the only point of my conversation, then they're missing like the whole middle part. Or actually the whole foundation of the conversation is that I've been going in a visionary state. And again, that leads back to people, some people can't understand, but some people are just like, I think it exposes their behavior or their mentality. Okay, so like, you know, the person last night, you know, gave me an ass chewing about, you know, I need to stop being an idiot and go see a doctor like you're supposed to. So to me, you know, the fact that he has faith in going to see a doctor is stupid in my eyes. I have absolutely no faith whatsoever in getting any help from a doctor, at least in the way that he's recommending it. Now, again, I do have faith that there are people out here who can help me. And, you know, Bill Lee may not be one of them just because he could have like something fucked up in his life. I think Billy is very capable of helping me in some ways. Like, if there was any way me and him could actually communicate. So, I really didn't want to have to make all these videos and make it public, but I wasn't able to get two-way communication in private. It's been one-way communication. He's just like, yeah, and, And, you know, he kind of keeps you going and going, but then, like, you know, like, there's been a couple times where I've talked to him. I notice his tactic is he asks all the questions, and you do all the answering, and as soon as you start saying, well, how about you? You know, you got some questions for Bill. It's like, oh, no time to talk, I gotta go. So, like, so I appreciate it, you know, he lets me talk and stuff, but I'm just like, well, I feel like it's not doing me any good, you know? I feel like, you know, maybe it's therapeutic. I'm like, all right, I got to say everything I wanted to Bill Lee and get it off my chest, but at the same time, I just feel like super paranoid, by the way. So yeah, I really wanted to mention that for a moment. Like, I'm not sure if I trust Bill Lee. Okay? And so now as I share out my visions, I found out who I should trust and who I shouldn't trust. And that's where I'm like, okay, be a sad shame if I can't trust Bill Lee because, you know, he did have this ex-girlfriend once tell me that he saves up all my messages in case he needs to build a case against me someday. Well, part of the reason I had to leave Sweet Peaks, the ice cream shop I was working at, is because the boss there, you know, she's kind of like an absentee owner that, like, tries to manage the store remotely, never comes in the store very much, and she expects everything to be in text, and she wants it all to be done on this little app they set up for the employees, and a lot of my comments go unanswered, you know, and after a while I might express some frustration with that, and then she goes, don't worry, we're not ignoring you, we're saving all your messages. Well, they've been building a case against me to fire me, and I was kind of feeling that already, so I kind of pushed her a little harder, you know, I did a few things to make her fire me. But the one thing she did before she fired me was she came into the store to talk to me, and she admitted to me that she does lie to the employees and that she likes to know that they're scared of her. And so when she gave me those pieces of information along with a few other things, that's when I'm like, you know what, let her fire me. And so that's where I feel like I have the same frustration with Bill Lee. But it's like, if I start to act frustrated with him, sometimes he'll mention, Jody, I read everything you send me, la 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 la, you know. So I just feel like, don't worry, I'm not ignoring you. It's a very strong parallel to that employer who I just made them fire me. and so that's where I feel super paranoid with Bill Lee, because I don't know if he appreciates it or if he, you know, he's genuinely trying to be kind to me sometimes. You know, I feel like the last time we spoke, he had some kind words, and I really appreciate those, but at the same time, I almost feel like he's just trying to cover his ass in case I, you know, do something crazy, and that way we can't say, well, Bill Lee did say something to Jody, like, because back in the day, his mean girlfriend told me I should go kill myself, you know. And so, like, if that was the last conversation we had before I died, you know, that would make her look bad, even if it was something I was planning to do for years anyway. So, stuff like that, you know, it makes it difficult for me to communicate or feel that I'm being understood, you know. So, again, I expect Bill Lee to be able to understand and comprehend everything I'm sharing, or I wouldn't share it with him. But at the same time, I'm going, man, what if I'm wrong? And he's just like as basic as all these other people with their whole, you know, Jody, you need to see a doctor, or Jody, you're just obsessed with a rock star, and stuff like that, you know. So I think what I'm really obsessed with is I can't stand being ignored. That's what I'm really obsessed with, and that's why I'm just like banging on that door, screaming at the top of my lungs, somebody please listen. Somebody please listen. Like, I don't just want people to listen and go, yep. I want to be understood. I want to make sure that the person I'm talking to understands me. The number one person I hope will form an understanding with me in the true sense of like, I totally know what you mean, dude. Because here's the thing, is if you understand me, I'm not going to get all these type of comments. I'm not going to have you trying to ignore me or pretending to ignore me, okay? So I will know when I'm understood. I will know it for sure. Now, there's a couple people I've talked to. Like I said, I felt like that's what I loved about Rosie. I don't have a lot of other people like that. Maybe a couple people online I talk with. I feel kind of like, don't worry, Jody, I understand you. Even though your story's kind of long and complicated, it's like, I get that. You can go in a visionary state and you can have these kind of experiences. Like that's kind of comforting to hear that from others. Now, I do want you to know I have good plans for my life. Whether I can carry them out or not is one thing, but like something I've been trying to include in my conversation is like, okay, so as I'm going over this stuff, I'm reflecting on a really bad time in my life, but along with that, I kind of feel like I do kind of tend to re-experience that, and that's why we don't want to dwell on the past. So I do feel like it's kind of hard. Like I want to get this all out, but every time I talk about it, I kind of get worked up. So I have to work on balancing that with some humor and stuff. So I did a song like Billy Lee, Not My Lover. You know, I'm just trying to laugh at myself and laugh at the situation. I'm not trying to insult him, and I really want him to be able to watch me do something like that and be able to laugh. I want him to just laugh and just think, you know, it's pretty funny shit, isn't it now? Now, what I'd like to accomplish really, like, it's been taking me years to formulate, like, part of the reason I'm a procrastinator is I'm a perfectionist, and I don't want to do something that's just garbage. I don't just want to start another stupid Halloween band, right? Or just be another artist doing the same thing everyone else is doing, just making more product, blah, 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 you know, so that's not my life dream. You know, I'm a student of industrial music, and I feel like my life dream has always been to break new grounds, you know. I feel like I want to make a breakthrough as an artist, and I think my breakthrough, which has probably been around for a while anyways, is channeling. And I'm like, dude, that's what this is all about, channeling. When we go back to the beginning, you know, I'm being told I'm going to be contacted by aliens. All right, we're going to go on a spaceship ride. Since I've been up here, I've been working with somebody who is a contactee, and she assured me that, you know, we're being helped by the extraterrestrials. And, you know, her family never believed her all her life, you know, like, she just said, you know what, fuck those people, I don't even like them anyways, you know, because none of her family believed her. And I think even her older daughter, she was trying to bond with her mom more and more, but she never really believed her until her and her husband had their own UFO experience, and so they were able to tell her that within the last month or so before she died. And so that was a great experience for me to be a part of, because, you know, I listened to with open mind, you know, and because of the way I'm being contacted, I see the validity in communicating with otherworldly beings. They operate on another level, so we can't just stand here in this room and have a talk and stuff like that. So I love talking about this stuff. I think it's a super colorful topic. And like, for example, Christopher Lawrence, one of my favorite DJs, has announced their upcoming festival, and they're going to have great music, and they're going to have alien abductions and everything. And I don't know if they're just joking around, but it seems like the music I want to go into is more like the trance techno, and it has so much to do with communicating with the extraterrestrials that it's really partly a form of channeling, a little bit like that joke, you know, the aliens are having a meeting, they're like, well, did the earthlings get our message? And they're like, yeah, and they're calling it techno, and they're dancing to it, because when we put things into English, when we put things into language, that's really just a limited form of communication, and we're communicating up here from the intellectual part of ourselves. But when we use music as communication, it helps us to communicate through the intelligence of the heart. There are certain things can't be put into certain things can't be put into words. But then when you listen to the right music, and we all know music expresses emotion, so yeah, we already know that. But when you're doing trance techno, or the type of music I'm thinking of, and I think, you know, all those artists I listed from industrial music and all these guys, and I really wish Bill Lee would be one of them. should support me on this, because I'm interested in channeling transformative information through music. That's what I'm getting geared up for. And so as far as clearing the past, a lot of this stuff has acted to kind of plug up my system, you know, so I got to clear up my energy body and be ready to channel. And so that's why I got to dump all this stuff, right? Kind of taking a dump. You know how you take a number 1 or number 2? Well, when you do a spiritual dump, I guess I could say I'm taking a number 3. Ha! So I apologize if you think I'm just dumping on you guys, but at the same time, I'm sharing an experience along with the emotions, and this is all going someplace good in the long run. Okay, you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.